So one thing that Wuthering Waves has been working on ever since version 1.0 and has continued over to version 2.0 and beyond is their advertising and also collaborations with other companies. Now, why is this so big? Well, the main factor after why, Wuthering Waves and Kuro Games working with all of these major companies is to actually help them grow their own company themselves. And well, it seems like Wuthering Waves has a ton of new collaborations out at the moment, which could actually help them, kind of grow even more in the future, as some of these are some of the biggest companies ever. Now, this isn't just me saying like, oh, this is so huge. This is actually a really big company that Wuthering Waves is working with, as well as some other companies they could actually be working with in the future, which might be very exciting to see. So in this video, we're going to be going through all of the collaborations you need to know, talking you through exactly what is going on and exactly how Wuthering Waves is improving all of this, and pretty much just keeping you guys up to date with everything that's going on. But before I get into this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and also go to Game Service, use my code KAZA, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there, so definitely recommend going to go check it out. Yeah, let's get back into the video. So this was one of the first videos I actually saw, and this is actually a whole clip of the Apple CEO Tim Cook actually in Beijing, with him actually talking to the Kuro producer Solon Lee, who I've talked about quite a lot on this channel, at a Wuthering Waves demo event. So it seems like the two companies are pretty close, and while this wasn't, exactly an official collaboration that they marketed too much, it was just, Tim Cook showed up, and it seems like they're having a good time, talking them through a lot of the stuff that's going on with Wuthering Waves and everything like that. Now, it is kind of weird to see him, by a Cantarella picture. I mean, I wouldn't expect that at all. But again, it seems like the two CEOs are kind of getting along, and it's great to see that kind of stuff going on, because it means that we could see some more potential collabs with Apple. Like, obviously, they've showed them off in a couple of showcases before to do with their phones and things like that, but that's mainly about it. And hopefully we can see Apple, actually do a little bit more with Wuthering Waves in the future. But what they're actually doing is going on the other side of the mobile kind of sphere, is actually collaborating with companies like Samsung. So obviously, yeah, this is a bit of a contrast from Apple, because Samsung, Apple are a little bit of competitors, but they've actually done a collaboration with the Galaxy Store, pretty much showing off some themed clothing. Now, obviously, this one is for Cantarella, I'm pretty sure. So again, she looks very, very cool there, and they've just made an entire kind of like skin thing, which we will probably never see in the game. It's something that Wuthering Waves likes to do quite a bit, and we see them do it a ton over on the Korean page. Now, yeah, it is important to notice that this is on the Korean page for Wuthering Waves, and that's what a lot of these collaborations are on, because again, they are trying to kind of promote the game more in Korea and also in other places like Japan and stuff as well. Now, they don't go too much into detail in what they're actually doing on the Galaxy Store, but it seems like it's a theme. It's like a Cantarella theme, so I'm guessing that's something to do with how they theme their phones and things like that. But it would be very interesting if we could get it over here to see what it's all about. But it does kind of prove that Kuro Games has now kind of built up that rapport with a lot of these major companies, including Samsung and Apple, to the point where they can actually, schedule a kind of meetup like that, or they can, do massive collaborations like this with the Galaxy Store, which can help them grow in turn. Because obviously, yes, Samsung and Apple, I mean, if I mention that, I don't really need to explain who they are, that's how big they are, and that's how Kuro Games can continue to grow, is by kind of, I guess, it's kind of a bad word, but leeching off of their success. If Kuro Games actually goes with them and Kuro Games keeps following them and doing more collaborations and stuff, they're going to grow as well, because people are going to see on the Galaxy Store, or they're going to see over at Apple or whatever, like, oh, what's this game? This looks interesting. Also, especially if you're showcasing it on the phones and everything like that as well, people are like, oh, this game can run on this phone. Oh, maybe I'll give it a try out. And then again, it's just really, really positive for overall. Now, I've talked about in the past as well of Wuthering Waves actually being featured on one of the Samsung phone pages as well. So it seems like they definitely are trying to get into the whole mobile sphere. Some games, they are just mobile and that's it. They don't really do much else. But it definitely seems like they're trying to put a big emphasis on they want to work with mobile companies. They want to be seen as one of the kind of benchmarks for high graphic gameplay on mobile, which I think is actually really good, because again, they've also partnered with other companies like Snapdragon, who make the chipsets for a lot of these phones. And obviously, what Snapdragon wants to do is showcase how good their chipsets are and how, graphically intense they can run stuff. And, Wuthering Waves is one of the perfect games for that. So again, it's really great to see that, they are working with a lot of these big companies. Now, obviously, they've got even more kind of stuff here as well. For example, a whole event actually going on over in Yongsan in Seoul. So again, they've got a whole IRL event, which is actually going on from the 4th of April to the 6th of April, which will be held for 3 days, obviously. And I think this is going to be something a little bit similar to the Japan event that we saw. If you guys don't remember, they did an event over in Osaka where they pretty much had like a ton of stalls, cosplayers, things like that. So that's going to be very exciting to see. Now, obviously, I'm not sure how big it will be compared to the Osaka one, because the Osaka one was actually pretty big. But yeah, they're saying it's pretty much a carnival of some sorts or whatever. So again, I'm very excited to see what they're actually going to do at this event, and if they're going to have a big impression, or if they're not going to have a big impression. It's going to be very interesting because IRL events have been popping up quite a bit for Wuthering Waves recently, and it's been working really well. As I said earlier, I was talking about the Osaka event that actually blew up over on social media quite a bit. You know, a lot of people were talking about it, including me, because there was a lot of really clippable and just really funny stuff that was going on over there, which got a lot of people talking about it, which honestly I think is the best way to do advertising. Obviously, you know, there is different ways to advertise your game whenever it comes to Wuthering Waves. Obviously, the first one being like collaborations like that, which we just talked about with Samsung, but also IRL events like this, which can kind of introduce people to make videos. It can kind of get creators to come over to the events as well. I think that's one of the main ones, is the fact that creators can actually come over to Seoul and actually go see, you know, some of the stuff and film it, which obviously, you know, if they're quite popular, well, you know, that's going to get views, that's going to get more popular, and more people are going to know about Wuthering Waves, and the more people that know, the better. And, you know, I think that's what their game plan is in the first couple years of Wuthering Waves, is getting people to know what Wuthering Waves is. Because, for example, we just had the Steam platform actually drop, I'd say drop, it got like announced, whatever you want to say, but they have the whole Steam page and stuff like that, which makes it so much easier to discover the game over on Steam and over on the store, which obviously is quite a cheap way of helping them get better discoverability. And I've said this for ages, and now, you know, going on Steam, you can go into like the store, you can go through the free-to-play games, and that means Wuthering Waves should be there. And, you know, it means that a lot of people that maybe weren't considering downloading Wuthering Waves in the past might actually download it, even if they don't know what a gacha game is, which honestly I think is great, and it's going to help them bring up that audience that they really need, and the audience that is definitely going to keep the game thriving even through some of these slow patches. You know, obviously we do have a couple of down patches on, yeah, because obviously we do have a couple of the down patches with some of the characters and things like that. But I think with, you know, Steam, with all of these events going on as well in the meantime, it will keep players a little bit more engaged and keep that number a little bit higher. I know it will be a little bit lower, it will always be a little bit lower, but again, it'll be much higher than it was previously, which again, I think is great. Now, obviously, we've got the final post as well. This is one of the final posts about the Galaxy kind of event thing. They say, "Hello Wanderer, the Mingzhou Galaxy Store Cantarella themed good package will be coming to all Wanderers soon," which again, they say all Wanderers, so I don't know if that means everyone or just Koreans. But again, it will be very interesting. I would definitely go and research a little bit more whenever it comes to, you know, the Galaxy Store, because I do have a Samsung phone, so I could actually go check. But again, it's really great to see them working with these companies, and it would be nice to see Wuthering Waves working with some kind of outside stuff as well, because mainly what we've seen so far is them working with Japanese, Chinese, and Korean companies, which makes sense because again, it's the kind of region that they're targeting. But it would be really nice to see them kind of target a couple of other countries, for example, like the US, the UK, maybe some EU countries as well, and some other places, because honestly, I do think that Western representation would really help them out. Obviously, they've been seeing massive success over in Asia, and I feel like they'll be seeing quite a bit of success over in the West as well, which is why pretty much I'm asking for it, because I feel like it could do very good over here. Genshin Impact, you know, Honkai Star have done this before. They've opened up little events over in the US and even in the UK as well. You know, I've been to a Genshin concert before, and that was really fun. Now, that wasn't so much of a event to get people hyped and stuff. It's more of a thing to show off that, you know, soundtrack and more for Genshin fans. But again, it was very interesting, and it was just great seeing, you know, a game that I've been playing actually show up, you know, near me, because again, that barely ever happens with gacha games because they're all based in China, which again, I definitely think that Wuthering Waves, you know, could work on that a little bit, and hopefully we can see, you know, a couple more events coming over to the UK, the US, and some other places. But hey, we don't have any news yet. But yeah, they have been working on IRL events and collabs quite a bit, as you can see by this video, so maybe there is a little bit of a chance. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this. Do you think that these collaborations are pretty big, and do you think, you know, they're going to help Wuthering Waves out in the long term? Because I feel like they will, especially with, you know, the absolute size of these. And this video actually came out literally today, which is actually very exciting to see, you know, Tim Cook actually, you know, interacting with Kuro Games and stuff like that, and suddenly actually interacting with them. So again, overall, very exciting. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.